Now let's take another break and watch a small clip about urban areas and inner city of Hanoi.
Along with the speedy economic development, urbanization is also making a very strong impact on Hanoi in many ways, positive and negative. Urbanization has changed the face of the country, contributed to raise the living standards of people, but there are many complex issues to be fixed, such as rich-poor division, housing issues, social security and safety management issues, infrastructure systems overload, and environmental pollution. What are the solutions for all of them?
What is your opinion about Vietnamese urban management or development?
Yeah, I think it is still a little bit traditional. I think the English word urban management is only introduced for the last 3-4 years here. It was always urban planning, urban design, designing new areas on the outside of the city. A lot of architects doing it, and I think the architects are very good in it, very good in doing it. But to manage your city is a little bit different. You have to look at how can my economy in my city, how can it go well, how do I deal with social issues, how do I upgrade existing areas. If we look, for example, in Hanoi, we look at these many neighborhoods that were built in the 50s and the 60s, nothing is happening with them. Yes. And that is asking for a different approach. It's not just urban expansion and design, it's really trying to manage, to involve groups, to involve the private sector, to involve community groups. It involves a lot of communication between people and between groups. And it also requires a vision. And that's what I'm sometimes missing. What do you want with your city? Hanoi, what is your vision for the next 20 years? The official vision is to become a modern and sustainable city. But that doesn't tell me anything. Everybody wants that. And I think it's good that you want that, but you need to be more specific. How are you going to compete with other cities in the region? How are you going to compete with Bangkok? How are you going to compete with Hong Kong? What is special about Hanoi that can make Hanoi survive in the economic struggle in this region? Education, Hong Kong, Singapore, Bangkok are already far ahead. You have to really catch up. Medical issues, IT issues, banking, these issues are already taken care of by these other cities. I think what makes Hanoi special, it's history, it's culture. And I'm trying to tell very often, I say, why don't you make Hanoi your cultural capital of Asia? And start building your vision around it. So make sure you start organizing conferences, conferences and in the context of culture, fashion show, music show, architecture, all these issues. Try to develop your city like that. Really try to become a conference city, an event city. Tourism is something that makes Hanoi special. Everybody loves to come to Hanoi. So if you have a big conference on climate change, do it in Hanoi. If you have a big fashion show in the region, do it in Hanoi. Yes. If you have a big music something going on, do it in Hanoi. And that, I think, could be a potential asset of Hanoi, where Hanoi is different from all the cities in the other region. Vietnamese are very good in organizing. Vietnamese are very good in making people feel comfortable. Their hospitality service is really good. So combine these things, the history, good in organizing, good in logistics, and you could push Hanoi in that direction. Okay, that's just one view, but that is my point. I think that the government should really look at their cities all over Vietnam and say, what are we strong in? What are we good in? Don't try to copy the countries around you, but look at yourself and develop a vision from that point of view and develop your cities along that vision. That is important, I think.
Yeah, there are the advantages. And what do you think is the worst difficulty that Hanoi have to face in urbanization?
Yeah, environment and transport.
Yeah.
I think cities are growing fast, and all over the world, if a city grows fast, that is causing a lot of pollution, especially water pollution. Only 10% of the city of Hanoi and the cities in Vietnam, only 10% of the water is treated. It's very low for a city. And you can go along with that for a while, but at one point it will explode. The environment will not be able to cope, and you will get real problems. And it's expensive, and I think that's something we learned in the West. If you don't take care of that, it will come back to you later, and then it's very expensive to solve. It's in the long term, it will happen maybe 10 years from now, but if you don't take care of it now, it will cause a problem. And I think not enough attention is put onto that. So pollution, air pollution, water pollution are main issues. And then everybody who lives in Ho Chi Minh City or lives in Hanoi every morning knows, it's getting worse. When I came here 6 years ago, there were few cars, many motorbikes, but you would move. 40, 50 kilometers an hour, you would move. Every year, more cars, more cars, more cars, and more motorbikes. And if you don't do anything with public transport and get people out of the car and get people off their motorbike, the problem will become bigger. With the economic growth of 7 or 8%, traffic doubles every 6 years. Okay, you imagine 6 years from now we have double the traffic?
Double the traffic.
Every 6 years it will double.
Yeah. That's terrible.
So imagine Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi with double the traffic now.
Yeah.
It's getting worse every year. Now I know the government is planning to have these metro lines, but that will still take a while.
Yes.
And there's only 2 or 3 plans, but there's probably you need 6 or 7 in the end. I know it's in the plans, but it's very expensive, and it needs a lot of investment. It needs a lot of construction, resettlement of people, because the lines have to go where now there are houses. That's going to be a major challenge.
Yeah. And what has to be done to solve these problems?
A lot of investment. For the pollution side, a lot of investment in infrastructure. Waste treatment plants, waste disposal sites that are sanitary equipped. It's a lot of money. And I think the World Bank calculated the amount of money that is necessary to really fill that infrastructure gap. It's a huge sum of money, which the government can never pay alone. It can also not pay it together with the donors. You need the private sector as well to start investing in these infrastructure services. A lot of money, a lot of also commitment from the government to provide enough legislation so that pollution is punished, more or less. So that's what it needs. And also for infrastructure, it needs a lot of investment. It also needs a lot of management. Sometimes you can solve a traffic problem with simple things of directing traffic in another way. You can solve it. You don't always need to invest huge sums of money. Sometimes it's management and logic thinking. So that's one as well. But it needs a lot of investment, especially in public transport. Building new roads will help to a certain extent, but it will be filled with new cars as well. If you make it easier for people to use their car or their motorbike, then the cars and the motorbikes increase. Yeah, so that's why you have to invest in public transport in order to solve some of the traffic problems that Vietnam has at the moment.
Thank you very much for joining our talk show today. And that concludes our talk show today. And thank you for watching Sharing Vietnam on NetViet VTC 10. I'm Thầy Vượng. Until next time.